Hello again, welcome back. Sorry, Periscope is doing very strange things today, which is not that surprising. Hello. Okay, so I tried waiting it out, and I'm pretty sure I know where it froze, but not exactly sure why it happened, but Periscope force closed on me. What a big surprise. Okay, so the last thing I was going over is whenever somebody feels, yeah, it's crazy. It's, I guess technology, that's part of what we have to deal with. Okay, so, let me just brighten my screen. I keep having like this issue with my screen being like super dim and then I can't read any of the comments. Hi, Nestor, how you doing? Nestor, you're not the person that I used to work with, are you? Because that would be so interesting to find you on Periscope randomly like this. Start with, yeah. Okay, so, well, did you hear how the caveman would, like, run away and that's how he would survive? You can say yes if you heard that. Okay, then you heard the civilized people who traded and were amongst each other, but they had their own homes. Say yes if you heard that. I'm seeing hearts, but I don't know if you heard that part. I think that you did. So the part that I was going to finish was the third option where somebody like found that they could depend on others to provide for them, and then they just really started questioning if they could do it for themselves or not. And weird, my comment's not getting there, okay? I saw this one, but the other one I didn't, so I think that's where we left off. So that's where I'm gonna start. So imagine that you were like, in this like little village, and you were able to trade for like different resources, and then slowly you started to question, well, maybe like so-and-so's produce is really better than mine, so I'm just gonna like depend on them and always get it from them. Or, like I really don't know how to build a house, so I think I'll just go live in with these people because they built this beautiful house and I would really like to live there and stuff like that. Well, over time you just become so dependent on having everyone else do everything for you that you question everything about yourself, and the way that you survive is allowing people to pretty much take care of you, and that was a survival technique. I can't think of a really good example in history, but I think you know what I mean. So that was passed down genetically also from people who found that they had to depend on others in order to survive. So it's partially taught to us when we were babies, but also part of it is genetics based on this book, Attached. You can go to attachedthebook.com and there is a quiz, which I would highly recommend. I took it and I got exactly what I figured I would get, and mine is anxious. Okay, so based on this codependence idea and the samskara that I was talking about, is that also when you are a child, Jules, think of like you have like a baby. It seems healthy to have some dependency and vulnerability. Yes, so I will get to that in just a moment. So when you're a baby, many parents do different things. Some parents, if a baby cries, the theory would be let it cry and let itself soothe itself, and it'll just stop crying and it'll be fine. And that's how they get through life. Well, those babies, attachedthebook.com. And it is on my list if you're looking for that book. I have it. I actually really like it. Or sorry, no, I rented it from the library. Just kidding. Okay, so that baby has learned I'm like in a vulnerable state and I'm reaching out to somebody. So I'm like, Mom, please, Dad, please, like somebody be here for me. And then they see, no, you get to do it all by yourself. Like, this is how you're going to survive. You get to do it by yourself. It's like, this is literally something that they pick up on at 6 months old, they say. That's like really young. And if you're a a new parent and you have a 6-month-old, I imagine that some things accidentally happen, not necessarily like, this is how I'm going to teach my child to act. It might just be, please just stop crying, I'm just not going to pick you up anymore. So they find that little baby associates, okay, I reach out and I'm like cut off and it hurts and I'm just told like go away. So if somebody gets close to me, then I don't want to be burned, so I'm going to push them away first before that can happen. And so I'm sure that you can imagine a few people in your life. There's one very big one in my life that lives that way. And Jules, I'm actually kind of curious if that might be you, just based on a few sentences you've said. I've picked up on that makes me wonder if that might be your personality. So it's just a conditioning, you know, like we picked up on it and then it's hard to break. So that baby learned that instead of accepting love and asking for it, instead they fend for themselves. And what they did find, they actually did a study on babies. It's not that baby actually stops feeling love or wanting love. Actually, they very much desire it, but they completely bottle it up and do not show it. Their heart rates go higher and everything, but they like stop crying. So they're just like silent. Then you have like a baby that, you know, cries, reaches out for mom, reaches out for dad. They pick them up and they're like, okay, like thanks, if a baby were to talk. And then, you know, they put them down and the mom can walk away or the dad can walk away and they're cool. So it's like sometimes they need some love and they need some affection and they need that attachment sometimes, but then they can also be cool and just hang out by themselves. So that would be a secure. They're just, you know, kind of balanced. And then there is the baby who cries out, mom, you know, dad, pick me up, like, please love me. And the parent, like, picks them up, okay, but then it's like, are you okay? Is everything okay? Like, you must not be okay because you were crying. Something's wrong. What's wrong? Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. I don't want to put you down because you're going to cry again. Oh my gosh, something's wrong with my baby. My baby is dying. And then they put the baby down and they're like, are you okay? Are you going to be okay over there? Are you sure? Do you need me to, like, come hold your hand? Are you okay? And obviously this is done out of love. However, it's like overkill. And so then the kid's like, oh my god, mom's gonna have a heart attack if I don't check with her every single chance that I do something. And so then they become like used to say like everything we do, we have to check in and say like, okay, is this gonna be okay if I do this? Because I don't want to upset you. Or if the mom or dad or the person that we become attached to like kind of disappears for a little while, just like the mom thought it was going to be the end of the world and you were just going to die, that's how it makes you feel inside because you were taught, oh my god, you're gone, the end of the world is coming. And this can be simple as like leaving the room or forgetting to say goodbye or very, very silly things, but it just like is really like chaos inside of us. And so then we just cry all the time. So that's how I was brought up. I was always taught to check in and I was always like really like nurtured, but because of that I have very bad like jealousy issues and I just felt like I couldn't do anything on my own. I always needed to have a person and because of that the codependency comes into play. I know I cried as a baby. I know they would walk around with me and show me nature to soothe me. That's cool. That's an awesome way to do it. And I'm not saying that soothing is like a bad thing and really there's not like a bad way because if everyone survived the same way, if something ever went devastatingly wrong and that way didn't work, we would be extinct. So it's almost natural that there's 3 main ways of survival because if one ever gets like wiped out because say the community like way just gets wiped out, well at least we're gonna have people in the other 2 ways. You know what I mean? So, okay, so the codependency is about that. So codependents are usually those anxious people, such as myself, and we are drawn to the people that are like pushing us away, which are the avoidants. It's chaotic, but it's because like we care so much. We're just like, oh my gosh, why do you keep going away? Why does this keep happening? And then they're like Get away from me! Stop! I'm running away! Stop! Leave me alone! Humans are ready for all disasters. Exactly! So, that's what the codependency thing is about. It's not like somebody's choosing and saying like, oh no, I have to be with this person. It's just something I'm choosing to do. It's just ingrained in your mind. It's something, it's a habit. That's exactly why I put it down for the samskara thing, because it's a habit that we did yesterday or that we learned a while ago and that we just keep doing because we just accepted it, saying, this is me, this is who I am, this is how it's gonna be, and that's not true. So even if you have the whole genetic thing, it doesn't mean you're going to be that way. You can change, it's just very hard. And they say it's very rare to change. If anything, you can just become less extreme. So that was a really long rant, but I do hope that like helped clarify that point, Jules, because I know that you were like, what? Like, why would somebody say that? And being a codependent person is a tough life. Hi, Lisa. How are you doing? We're talking about the Heart of Yoga book. We read chapter 1 and 2, so I'm just kind of like giving my thoughts on the chapter 2 right now, and I'll try to be pretty specific as to what I'm talking about to see if you have any feedback too. Okay. After the samskara section, then it also talked about the avidyas and how it's distinguished by superficial perception. And like how it was saying that it's like a mirror. What am I looking for? Hold on one second. I'm getting the knock. Do you have a fire going? Yes. Okay, let me grab like my blanket. I feel like I talk really loud though.
You do.
My neighbor.
We can hear you up there.
I'm sure. What do you want? A blanket?
She hasn't seen me here.
Oh, yeah. Here. Uno momento. I'm having a break for a tour of my... I feng shuied it. I feng shuied it. So I don't know if you know about feng shui, but I made a feng shui in here. Technically,
it's nice in here. It's cozy.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's a little bit warmer now. Yeah, you can talk. You're totally fine. Hello, Jules. Would you like to see my brother's girlfriend and my mom? They said that they could hear me all the way at the house. This is Angie, and there's my mom. Say hello. So, Angie hadn't seen my cottage yet, so she's checking it out. And they have a bonfire going, but I told them it's probably a bad idea for me to talk all the way up there because I'll wake up the whole dang neighborhood. And this is true. They're agreeing. I can't talk low. I'm in teacher mode. I realized it's the whole, like, you know, I got so used to teaching to a giant studio, so now I'm like 1,250 square foot loud. That would be my inside voice. It's just crazy. Do you want this?
No, I'm fine.
I have another one if you want one. Okay. If you need any more blankets, then let me know. And then if I finish this, I still have like 4 points that I wanted to go over before I was done.
This is her bar.
Yeah.
Bar still both sides. So, dining room, kitchen.
Yeah. I've got all my
bedroom.
stuff. And then my work stuff for Neil is in there. So.
I like it. I like it a lot.
You could always come by and watch a big, huge TV.
You still have your big TV?
I fit a big-ass 55-inch TV in my cottage. And that is my diffuser. I have Young Living diffusers over there. And those are all the oils right there that I use.
Smells good in here.
So, yeah, I put black pepper, hoping that it'll make me hot. And RC, which is like respiratory something, and what else did I put? I don't know. I put something else. Cedarwood? I don't know.
It smells good.
Peppermint. I am in teacher mode.
Alright.
I will probably, since you just started it, I will probably be out there before y'all go. Unless y'all are, like, leaving, like,
I don't
soon.
know.
Well, come say bye if y'all are.
Okay.
Did you see the crazy ring around the moon earlier? Oh my gosh, it was like this giant orb around the moon.
I love when it does that.
It was crazy looking. Okay, I apologize about the really weird, like, intermission that I just had. However, I, like, don't ever see her. I haven't seen her in, like, 3 months or so. Hi, hello, how are you? And she had never seen my cottage, which I kind of forgot. Yeah, I guess she hasn't been here for, like, a year. And that's so funny how they can hear me all the way at the house, because it's literally a good 20 strides away from my cottage. And I just talk so loud. And I try not to, but it just gets louder and louder and louder. So, yeah. This is why I told them, I was like, I don't think you're going to want me to scope near you. It's just going to be really distracting. You're not going to be able to talk or do anything. Okay, back to the book. So, with the Avidyas, I'm not seeing it necessarily written, but I remember I talk too quiet sometimes. I usually can hear you, Jules, so I don't think you talk too quiet. But really, like, when you're trying to pump up, like, 6 to 12, like, very nervous and confident girls in, like, a bikini, you kind of, like, put your big girl pants on and you, like, talk really loud. And especially because in dance, you know, there's music and you have to, like, yell over the music. So I guess that music probably made me, like, partially deaf or something, to where I just talk so loud when there's something in here that I want to teach and, like, get out. If it's something just, like, me talking and it's not really something I'm teaching, I'm just, like, having a conversation, then it's a lot lower. But you can tell whenever I get on my soapbox. So, with the Avidyas, it was talking about something like a perception. Okay. You need to be heard over. Exactly. So, it was talking about, like, perception, where we don't. Okay, here it is. If we are sure we do not clearly understand a given situation, generally speaking, we do not act decisively. But if we are clear in our understanding, we will act and it will go well for us. So sometimes, like, we just, like, think we perceive something and we think it's like, okay, I get it. Like, I really get it, and that's how we act on. And sometimes we're not right. So that's why you'll notice when I talk and when I teach, I do try to make sure that everyone understands that I'm teaching from my point of view in this point in time. It doesn't mean that this is always going to stay constant. There is a lot of shit that I taught in the past that was wrong, and you know what? I could feel really bad about it, but not really, because at that point in time, that was the best I knew, and it was better than what the people that I was teaching knew also. And I accept fully, like, people, like, questioning what I say and correcting me if they know something more by then. So that is, like, so interesting with the Avidyas. And one example that I wrote down, which I it's more just, like, for comic relief, because I have to laugh at it, otherwise it would drive me bonkers. And it has to do with food. So, how many times do you turn on the TV, and on the TV they're talking about, well, today they discovered sugar is the death of you. Like, it's just horrible for you. Like, just don't even put it in anything. Take it all out. You're gonna die if you eat it. Or, tomorrow, breaking news, like, oranges are gonna give you cancer. Or, like, the next day you turn on the news and they're like, sugar's great for you. You should, like, rub it all over your face and it's just going to make you, like, have the most glowing skin ever. You know, I'm joking, but you've heard these stories where they have findings, which is fine, you know, there's gonna be findings all the time, but they always, like, make it so extreme. Like, you can have all of it or you can't have any of it. And my boyfriend loves these type of stories because the news is on all day long at their house. And it just makes me laugh because the sugar thing is like one that really he picked up on, where they like said, you know, don't have any sugar. And I'm not saying that it's wrong that sugar is good for you necessarily. However, what I'm trying to say is that I do believe in like a balance of most things, and sugar may be like all bad. That is very possible, probably like chemicals and stuff. However, there is so many things that are bad for you that not just sugar is going to kill you. But if they didn't put it on the news in like the last week or so, then like in my boyfriend's mind, it's like out of his sight, out of his mind. And if they put something that is good for you, then he doesn't really think about like what goes with it that might make it also bad for you. So for an example, so in the news it has said that sugar is bad. And yeah, it probably is bad. And that high protein, high fat diets are very good, and that carbs are bad. So all of these may be truths. However, there's probably certain types of fat that are not good for you, and there are probably certain types of carbs that you can survive on and not necessarily like die at a very early age. And I'm not saying that if you want to eat the most perfect diet ever, that that's not what you should listen to, but I'm more saying like balance. And he has heard all of these things, and so I'm addicted to sugar. I will fully admit it. If I do not have chocolate, I am a uber biatch, and it's just a bad thing. So it's something that is in my long-term like ixnay plan, but I know that I have to eat a lot of other clean things before I can even think of conquering that big giant demon. So he knows that I'm addicted to sugar, and there's certain things that he does that I think aren't healthy for him. So I'll mention it and he'll be like, well, you know that sugar is going to be the death of you, and like sugar just kills you, so I don't even know why you eat sugar. So if we're going to talk about something, we should talk about sugar. So that's like a burn. But then he'll go and eat like a junior, and he has told me that you should listen to your body, and what your body craves is what it needs. And there is a very good amount of truth in this. However, I have a very hard time believing that your body craves a junior bacon cheeseburger with a Mountain Dew. Because I get that the news said that high in protein and high in fat meals are good or are better for you. But what about that cheese that's like probably not good for you, and the bun is carbs, so that went against the whole idea anyways. And then come home and eat cheese puffs for a hold me over for dinner. What? But then dinner comes along and I have a steak, and then I would like some little bit of mashed potatoes, and I'm told, oh, I don't eat mashed potatoes because it's only fattening. I have high fat in my diet. I try not to tell my friends think organic is better for you. Yeah. So that was just kind of like a funny thing that I'm telling you because I know, Jules, you're going to be the main person watching this by this point in time. And I crack up every time because I get the stink eye if I eat some mashed potatoes and get like a lecture, and so does his mom. But then like he'll have cheese puffs for lunch and like a junior bacon cheeseburger. So the whole point is that the vidya is like, we may take it as like an absolute truth, and we just do it. His body craves it because he's addicted, like sugar. Exactly. And I would like to say that, but I don't. I just don't get into it. It's just not worth it. Instead, I just chuckle inside, and I'm like, okay. I've said my piece about it. So the vidya, you know, a lot of times you might believe that what you are doing actually is bettering yourself, but really later on you might be able to actually see a different perspective, and that's what it's talking about with like this, I don't know, glass, a mirror, for example, and then you can say, oh my god, what the hell was I thinking? Like, that was terrible for me. And I'm at that, you know, with the sugar and stuff, like, I'm pretty clear on what's bad for me, and I accept it, and I can see that my body has just become so norm for some of these things that it just craves it, even though mentally I feel like I have to have sugar. I cannot survive without it. But I know on a deeper level that really it's just this avidya going on. So one part, I guess, of the step is stop denying it. So I'm at least past the denial. Okay, so then to the branches. I swear it won't be as much longer. The codependence thing was a much bigger part of my talk. It's easier to quit bad stuff, I think, with the community help. Exactly. And that, honestly, Periscope is really helping me. Oh my god. Like, Acupunk, whatever his name is, Dr. Lim Lee, holy crap, he is, like, opening my world to, like, all these organic options, and Lean Green Girl and Lean Green Media are the bomb if you're going, like, to a much healthier lifestyle. They will probably be the ones that will get me over to the right path for eating. I'm not there yet. I had clam chowder for dinner, so I'm definitely not there. But I'm getting closer and closer every day. Okay. Any other parts about that before I go to the ego? Hi, Drifter Shore. How's it going? What's your name? So, Asmita. Asmita is the ego, and oh my goodness, that one was kind of tough for me because I follow good stuff for motivation on Facebook. Yeah, I'm rarely on Facebook, but I do try to only follow good stuff that would keep me on track. So the ego part was really tough because the thing is, why you're doing good, cool. Do you practice yoga, or tell me a little bit about yourself? What brought you here? So the ego part was crazy because you know that the whole reason that I started the path of pole fitness in the first place was because I told you I had really bad self-esteem. And it was so bad that I had to like force myself into finding a way to help my self-esteem and build up my self-esteem. What is self-esteem? It's your ego. What do I teach girls, or not as much anymore, what did I teach girls for a whole, 3 or 4 years? I taught them how to be egotistical, and I taught them how to love themselves, and I taught them how to build their self-esteem until literally they were just like bursting with it, and they did not give a rat's butt what somebody else thought. I messed up. It makes me a little bit sad because my intentions were completely pure, and really, for the most part, my self-esteem building was more so self-acceptance than self-esteem. However, there was a self-esteem that was definitely built in me. Go to my YouTube and you will find it on there. My self-esteem is on YouTube, which is why I'm really considering deleting all of it. It's a hard decision. I haven't deleted all of it yet. Most of the stuff is blocked, but it's hard for me to let go of. So I'm still thinking about it. But I have been teaching people for so long how to build an ego. I have taught them how to stop caring what other people think of them and to say, I am the best, I rock, my body is the bomb, etc., etc. I'm not saying that that's worse than saying I suck, I'm horrible, I'm fat, I don't deserve anybody, because if I had to choose one, I do think that I would want them to be up here than like down in the dumps. But it was not actually helping them rid of that avidya of the ego. Now I do teach more in a manner of like just acceptance, like this is me. I'm not awesome, I'm not horrible, I'm just me. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be better or worse. You're just you. And that is, for the most part, how I teach. There are times I just get in the habit and I'm like, yes, you're going to be the best, da da da. And it's hard to like not do that, but it did make me sad when I realized that is how I've been teaching for so long. And because that was how I was taught, and that is what recently broke. When I lost my studio, that was a huge like rip of that ego. Like, it was like I had my skin like ripped off of my body. That whole layer of ego was just like ripped away. It works for people dealing with disease too. Try to accept. Exactly. Yeah. And when I had the studio, like when I lost it, I did a lot of thinking. It made me really reevaluate, like, where am I? What am I doing? Like, who am I? This self is like changed by the mind. Exactly. And it was the craziest thing because in the past, I used to wear crap tons of glitter and makeup. Like, if I showed you a picture of me 1 year ago, you would probably not even recognize me. People that I have known for years that I haven't seen over the last year wouldn't recognize me because they never saw me without makeup. Ever. Or I would always wear like giant heels to dance in. They do have purpose, but I also had like 15 different pairs because I wanted to make them all match and be beautiful. And I always had like stylish clothes, and it was just all a big show. And I mean, I was like really into being sexy. I mean, that was my thing. I was good at it. And I liked the attention, and it fed the ego. That's all it was feeding. And one reason why I love my boyfriend so much is because he always like would dig at this. Like, you know, well, why are you making this video? Do you just want attention from people on YouTube? Like, why would you video yourself doing this? And many times, like, I would disagree with him, and I really didn't think that I was doing it for that reason. And many of my videos are instructional, so those are literally to teach people and to help keep food on my table. But many of them were my progress and like dancing and like expressing myself. However, instead of me just expressing myself to myself, I was sharing it to the world to see, and that had way more to do with my ego than anything else. And it was just building it and making it bigger and bigger. And as my following grew, it was making it bigger and bigger. And as I got trolled, it was like I was so angry because I got trolled, but yet I was like so freaking excited because I had like 1,000 followers. At one point, I actually, like, my ego did not catch up to the amount of attention I was getting, and I got, like, my twerking videos became viral. I had to take them down. I had, like, 16,000 views because I saw that girl that went on Vine and became, like, a millionaire because she twerked on Vine. So I opened a Vine and I started teaching twerk on Vine. And, like, over, like, a week's time, my videos went viral, and then I had all these weirdos, like, on my page and on my channel following me, offering me money to do these weird things for them. And then that was kind of, like, one thing that kind of made me hit reality. It was like, oh my god, like, that was not what this is not what I want my life to be. I don't want these people looking at me. That's not really what my intention was. I really just wanted to grow my business so I could teach people, because I actually enjoy teaching people how to dance. Even that type of dance. I will still teach it for someone who is serious, who wants to, like, learn how to just move their body. But it was, like, really bad. I mean, I have had people tell me that they would buy one video for $500. And I was like, no, this is not happening. So I had to take down all my videos, and some of them even got, like, ripped from the internet and now are on weird sites, and I don't like that. It makes me feel awkward. But that was my ego taking over my life, and it just got out of control. And that was probably another sobering moment where I was like, Lisa, what are you doing? Another sobering moment was when my boyfriend told me he didn't like glitter and that it was just fake, and he didn't like makeup because it had nothing to do with what I actually looked like, and he's in like heels because they were just fake things on your feet. And he also doesn't like yoga pants, but that one's a little bit harder. And it was very hard for me to take that in because at that point, my ego was like, that is me. Like, I am glitter. I am heels. I am sexy. I am makeup. I am how to do my hair all crazy. I am put on performances and show off everything that I've got. That was me in my mind. And when he said these things, I cried a lot. It was very hard. And the girls that I had taught, what did they say? Well, screw him. We're awesome. We're beautiful. We're this, because I had created a bunch of little minion, egotistical women. And I had to tell them, no, you guys, like, no, it's okay. Like, I don't want to wear glitter anymore. And they're like, what's wrong with you? Here, do you want my glitter stuff? Okay, I'll take it, but why do you not want to wear glitter? And so, like, on my last performance that I did, it was in March, and it was at this studio in Orlando, and they were expecting this glitz and glam and super uber sexy thing, and instead I had like morphed. It was like I had rid that ego. I mean, literally I did feel like it ripped my ego off of my skin when I left my studio. And I chose to do a performance to a remake of, oh my gosh, why can I not think of the name of the song? Crap. Heartbeat. Thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only call you when they're playing. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the song. I will put it in my blog post because I really love the song, and it totally was about this, like, you know, letting go, and like, it's all about the ego, really. And I danced to it. I didn't wear any heels. I didn't do crazy things with my hair. I probably had a little bit of makeup on. I'm still kind of finding a happy balance of what I like for makeup. And it didn't have anything really crazy in it. It was just me, like, letting myself be free and expressing myself, and I didn't care if they liked it. I had to go first, which was, like, horrible because I had never really seen these people before. I didn't know them. They knew me because I was on YouTube and stuff. But some girl asked to switch with me, and if I cared if I went first, and I was like, okay, whatever. I went first, and like no one clapped, like they didn't make any sound, and it was so awkward. I think they didn't know how to take it because they were little sexified minions also. And so I don't think that they got it. I don't think they appreciated it at all, and I was like really uncomfortable the whole time. But I stopped performing after that. I haven't performed since then. I'll do a video every now and then, and usually when I do it, I take it down. You like that a goddess can be expressing creativity with makeup, clothes, and glitter. Yeah, exactly. And so that's why when you have to have a balance, like if you're only doing it for what other people think of you, it's not something that you should be doing. But if you're doing it like as like an expression to like teach a idea, or like physically makes you feel better. I don't know. I can't even talk on the subject because I'm still in that thought process. I don't know what I think yet. Exactly. But I do know that the reason is important, and what I was doing it for was not the right thing. So my Asmita was like out of control, and honestly now I feel like it's very subtle. I still run into issues where if I don't get like a bunch of likes on Instagram, then I'm like, oh man, I'm doing something wrong. I need to have like lots of followers and stuff. And that actually had to do also with the last section Yeah. Okay. It's just talking about in general the avidya. I put how a lot of us, a lot of times, it haunts us and leaves us alone. In both cases, the origin of our feelings remains hidden from us. So a lot of times, these avidyas I think are really like rampant in social media, because instead of us just being us and we're just doing this just because it's who we are and what we do it because we're like, I want to have 1 million followers and I want 1 billion people to like me and I want to post this picture and I want everyone to love it, instead of just posting this picture because this is who I am, this is what I did, here I am. Like, it's like a communication rather than like a opinion. And that's hard for me. I still fall into that one. But I do recognize it. When I find myself checking Instagram 4 times a day, I'm like, why am I doing that? It doesn't matter how many likes I had. Especially whenever I actually put really meaningful words into the picture underneath and then nobody even reads them. I'm confused with the way people act on the internet. Sex crazed. Sorry, still typing last topic. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to ask you. Yes, I agree. It's crazy. It's because their Asmita is out of control. They can't see it. It's hard, Jules. I mean, I imagine it's like cancer. It just starts spreading all over you. And then if you can't, like, kill the source, then it's just going to engulf you and overcome you. And somehow I found that source. That's on my earlier scope. Today, before class, we were talking about something very similar about negativity and fire and how sometimes you have to like literally burn to the ground to find the problem and then the core of the negativity before you can really grow from it. And that time in my life, this past year, has been like a big giant burn, which is funny because the fire year isn't until this coming year, but hey, mine happened a little bit earlier, I think. Did you have anything else, though, about that, or the popularity contest thing about all of the avidyas, like how they're kind of overrunning our thoughts? I hope that year is over. Yeah. I mean, I do, but you know what? I am accepting that whatever happens, happens. I'm okay now. And I might not feel that way whenever something bad happens, but I can look back on how I feel right now, I think, and I can see my clarity, and I can say, okay, well, I felt that way before, and then I got even a better life coming out of it, so maybe I'll just try to do that again and see what happens, And that's actually what's made me survive most of the time. I've gone through a lot of, like, traumatic things, and I'll actually get to that in a second, too. And because I could see that whenever I, like, just pushed through the tragedies, how, like, I became, like, so much more clear and understanding of life, then it does help me. This last time was very bad. I really didn't think I would have made it through. I thought I was going to be done. But I'm here, so hopefully I don't get another one like that. I would really not like that. So then the other one, it's weird how as you age you feel more afraid. I feel less afraid. I hope you don't feel more afraid. I think the more that you yoga, you'll feel less afraid about some stuff. And you know why? If you're feeling more afraid, it's those habits are being left untouched and they're getting stronger. They're forming stronger habits of whatever that fear is happening. Remember what you thought about when you were a kid. I was very afraid as a kid. I am less afraid now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had more creativity and imagination. I think that might be where you're getting at. However, I did not really let go of a lot of that I have always been an oddball. I haven't really allowed much of society to tell me what to do or be. I got picked on and stuff, but like I never really let them silence me. So I think because of that I didn't lose that as much. And now people are accepting me for it. It's hilarious. You should, there's a book called, you know the movie Mean Girls? It's actually based on a book. And when I went to therapy, whenever I had my mental breakdown, she actually told me about it. Because most things that are wrong with our minds have to do with childhood. And that was a big one. That was part of my mind problems. And she told me about it. And so I didn't read the book, but I read the synopsis. And I listened to the author talk about it. And it's so true. What was I talking? Oh, the Raja. Okay, so the Raja, I had like a really quick note about, it was talking about, oh, that juice that I needed yesterday was so sweet. I just want it to again today, even though I don't need juice. And that is the sugar thing, man. At one point in time, maybe I needed sugar. I mean, I guess you do have blood sugar issues. I don't know, I guess you might need it sometimes in emergency, but now my Raja is very strong for sugar and a few other things, but that would be my biggest one. There's certain other things too, which I will come back to because it'll be a little more emotional. I wanted to go to the Devesa, which is the opposite of Raja. Oh, so that was the one where you push away things because you assume that they're going to bring you pain again. Okay, so my example on this one, because I know that you said something about this, Jules. I can't remember what it was. About the one where it's like pain. And it's totally Pavlov's theory. So, do you know Pavlov's theory? You have the dog. Run. Yes. So in case anyone happens to watch this replay, which is obnoxiously long, Pavlov's theory is you have a dog, you ring a bell, you give the dog food. You have a dog, you ring the bell, you give the dog food. You bring the dog, you ring the bell, you give the dog food. You bring the dog, you ring the bell. There's no food. He starts salivating because now he associates that bell with the food. Well, that's totally what this Devesa is like Pavlov's theory is that you ran into a dog and a dog bit you, and now every time you see a dog, you're like, get away from me, you're just gonna bite me. And that's not true. Just because a bell was ringing doesn't mean that he's gonna eat. I think my cats just think my face means food. But if we can get past that and stop associating everything with things that don't actually link, then you can be much more free feeling. And it totally, I feel like a lot of the Devesa causes the Abhinivasa, the fear. And when I was a kid, I was so paranoid. I'm still a very paranoid person compared to many. Because my mom, I'm telling you, you remember the whole attachment idea? Like the, are you okay? Are you okay? You're going to die. Oh my God, my child's going to die. Well, that was exactly, yet again, the upbringing is, okay, on the news they talked about how people were like stealing little children and raping them. So now I'm not allowed to go anywhere because I was just going to get stolen and raped. Or on the news, I don't watch the news, by the way. Can you tell why? On the news, they put how people were putting razor blades in apples. I was no longer allowed to eat any apples, no matter where they came from. Or on the news, they talked about how, did you ever hear this one? They were putting needles with AIDS or something in the coin return of the soda machines, giving people diseases. So now I'm no longer allowed to retrieve my coins without first ducking down and making sure there's nothing in there. I still do that because it is ingrained in me. I try not to. It's a fear thing. And that paranoia makes life so much harder. It's so much harder to live when you feel like everything is out to get you. And my grandma was schizophrenic. She thought everyone was killing her. She thought she was going to die all the time because she thought everyone was out to murder her or something. And so that's very scary, knowing that it's a genetic thing. Hopefully that does not happen in my future. But that happened, so yeah, I'll get to the deep shit now. Okay, so I won't go too into detail. However, this whole like Pavlov's theory and this Devesa, where you just start to really associate like something that happened in the past will always happen in the future. I already have a very attached like mentality and very anxious like neediness to me. However, one reason I had to start pole fitness, or I chose to start pole fitness, is because I had a very deteriorated self-esteem and self-worth and self-acceptance. So that was the main problem that I just never realized was the main problem. Because in high school I had a very, very terrible relationship with a man who held many things over my head. And at the time, I was Catholic, which I will never be Catholic again, which are full of dogmas and rules and things that tell you if you do this and you might as well just give up because you're sinning and blah, blah, blah. Well, so I was Catholic. I was already like struggling with like that whole idea anyways. And then I was dating a man and I was 18 and, you know, I'm becoming an adult and sex became an issue and he was like 24 and pretty much he held it over my head like, you're either going to do this or I'm going to be forced to look elsewhere. That's not a very fun thing to be told, especially when you are an anxious attachment style person. Because what did I say about earlier? Is that we're like, no, I'm going to die without you. So how am I going to interpret that? I'm going to die. I'm just going to die if you just do that. It's going to be terrible. And so, yes. And so for about 10 months, I did have a very problematic relationship that involved sexual abuse and mental abuse and sometimes physical abuse. And I don't really share this a lot because sometimes it's like too intense for people. But it was so bad that by the time that I left, and that I don't even know how I managed to do it because of my attachment style, I'm surprised I managed to get away. I guess I was already starting to grow in that moment and see like get a clearer understanding of my life. I had to go to physical therapy because everything got jacked up. And that physical therapy is actually one reason why I understand the physical practice of yoga so much, is because all of our muscles are doing things because they've been triggered to do things. Yes, I agree. We've been triggered to do things by emotions that caused our muscles to do something, so they either tense or, release based on how they were reacting. And so many times if, I have tight hips, I understand that emotions go to your hips. Well, I'm a very emotional person, so I understand that it's going to take me a while to release my hips because, yes, it was internal, muscular physical therapy. So I understand that, like, in order for my hips to relax and release, there's a lot of emotions I also have to release with that so that they are, like, associated to each other. And so if you're, like, trying to force yourself into certain yoga postures, then I don't think you're understanding the whole point is that you're going to find certain postures that do not feel good to you, and instead of being like, nobody, you're going to do this, and you're going to do it good, you should think about what is causing that posture to not work, and not just maybe like physical trauma, but also maybe something that might be associated with it. Like, I also stand like this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Shoot. I stand, instead of standing straight, sorry, this is like a total crotch shot. I'm going to flip it for a second. Instead of standing like straight, I stand like this. See, I put a knee out and I push my hip forward. So, why else are my hips tight? Because I have horrible posture with my hips. I've stood like that since a child. It could be that I have like double jointedness or something and it's making them like pop out, because I do feel a little bit of a pop. But I can't just say, okay, hips, just open, whenever I'm not associating like why it has been caused to do that in the first place. Even if I did open up my hips, but then kept standing like that, they're just going to get tight again. So the same thing goes with your mind, where it's talking about the devesa. If you just like have a horrible experience emotionally, I think the emotions are held in the hips for a long time. Yes. I've been trying to open my hips for years. Honestly, I feel actually pretty in touch with my emotions and I express them well, but there is a lot of things that I know that are still hiding inside. I stand like that on the right side. I stand like that on both sides, unfortunately. So the devesas where you had this thing happen and mentally you associated that thing or that person or that idea with that negative concept, you can't just say, now every time that I come encounter with this, it's going to happen, because your life is going to be pretty much not any fun if every time you see anything that associated with you with something bad, you just think this is going to end up really terribly. Like, imagine if, like, every time you stubbed your toe, you're like, well, I'm just not gonna have toes anymore because I just keep stubbing them, or I'm not gonna walk anymore because I stubbed them. It wouldn't make sense, you know? And so that's the same idea. You shouldn't, like, take something that has to do with one incident, completely irrelevant to the main part of life, and say that is going to dictate how I live my life. And so where I was getting at with this whole physical therapy is that what I had to go through is literally rethinking about the terrible mind-like things that I went through as my physical therapist pressed on certain, they're called trigger points of my muscles inside, and I had to tell my body that muscle and that pressure on this muscle isn't actually associated with that thought that was in my head. And so at first it was so bad that it's too graphic, I can't explain. Okay, so just imagine though is that you might feel a certain way physically or emotionally, and then you have to think about what caused you to feel that way, and then instead of accepting it and saying this is always going to make me feel that way, say, no, I don't have to feel that way, and you calm yourself. Yes, it was emotional and physical. And I would cry, and it was very bad, but I got better because I trained myself. And you know how many women that have had physical abuse, mental abuse, do not go through this? They just accept their situation and why do I have to keep looking at this word? Their devesa, and say, this is my life, I'm never going to be able to do any of these things anymore because somebody ruined it for me. That's not true. And I guess that's just one thing about me, is I've never accepted stuff. I always question everything my whole life. And when that happened, I was like, no. This is not happening. This is not going to be my problem. We got to fix this. And so it was a very trying time. It was hard to think that it was not going to always be that way, that my body wasn't always going to have trauma, that my mind wasn't always going to associate that trauma with my emotions. And so it's very doable, but it takes so much concentration. And so the funny thing is okay, so that was like 6 years ago. So I've been doing pranayama for like 6 years. I just never knew it because I had to breathe when I was tensing up, when all of my muscles were going like this, literally. I had to breathe and allow myself to meditate also, and calm myself and not allow myself to go all to these negative places, and instead just relax everything and accept how it was right then and there. Yeah, it is very amazing, and I share this story with people because I want them to know that they can move past these things. So all of these avidyas can be moved past. You might not get by them always, so this is where another part of that story comes in. Just because I got past the physical, and just because I got past most of the emotional, and I can trust people again, I have not completely gotten over it, and it does still come up. If I see someone who looks like this person that did all of these things to me, I start crying. And it's like a wave hits me. Like, it literally feels like a freaking door slamming on my face. And all of those emotions and all of that devesa, like, comes back up. So it's never going to be a done thing, I don't believe. If you had, it's kind of like alcoholism, you know? Like, you're always going to be an alcoholic. So you can't just be like, okay, I'm not an alcoholic anymore. Good thing, I'm done. No, you are always working on it. It's just a constant process. And I haven't moved past that. I haven't accepted people that look like this particular human being. So I'm still working on that. And I will continue working on that my whole life. There's certain times where people get close enough to me and I go through a physical issue with them. Yeah. And you know what? I'm not ready. I haven't really, it's going to be hard because most of the people that I meet that look like this person act like that person, so I don't exactly know how to get past it because he was pretty scummy, and the ones that I do meet that look like him are scummy, so that's I'm just not sure how that works. But I do imagine that the hips are in there too. Now, there could have been also physical trauma because I was in a car accident as a kid, and my mom did tell me that the seatbelt kind of jacked up my hips, so that was another thing that might be preventing my hips from opening. But, you know, I imagine that the emotions are a big part of it. And the last thing I was getting at with, like, all of this is that recently, like, literally, like, in the last month, maybe, I mean, even, like, in the last week, all of this stuff, it seems like it has to do with a lot of attachment. You know, we're attached to being afraid, we're attached to, like sugar, things that made us feel good, so we just want to do it again. We're attached to, what were the other ones? Oh, we're attached to our ego, we're attached to that, like, good, like, I'm awesome feeling, and we're attached to fear, and I think I went over all of them, and we're attached to our habits and, like, our reactions, right? Well, all of it has so much to do with, like, external people, places, things, feelings, and really what I have started getting stronger at is that I don't really care as much anymore about what people, like, how they affect me, and to the point where I am becoming so detached that I no longer have to be loved for me to feel okay. Like, it would have really hurt me in the past. I was a very jealous person in the past. That has a lot to do with, you know, that a lot of those, actually, pretty much all of them have to do with my jealousy. Maybe not Raja, but I used to be very attached and jealous, and now I'm pretty much over that. It sneaks up on me, and then immediately when I see it, I'm like, go away, you're not needed. Or I also used to feel like if somebody didn't love me and want me physically, then I would just cry my eyes out all the time, like, oh, it was so bad. But now I'm like, I don't care, like, you don't really need to love me. I don't really need you physically around me. That technically doesn't nourish my body or my mind. And honestly, like, to the point where I just don't even know if I want a relationship anymore. Because the ego was hurt. Because I'm like really becoming self. I accept people into my life. I can share love with them. But I don't need to depend on somebody. It's just not needed anymore. And I actually have been doing a lot of research on why relationships are so common. Like, I mean, this is going to sound crazy. I really don't even find that many answers. I don't know why, like, partnerships are so common. Because technically, you know what I mean? But not you. You're able to identify yourself. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, why do we need love of the kind of, like, relationship? Because that was like that was a really big burden on me, because I mean, seriously, until September, like, I was just love hungry. And unfortunately, whenever I did not get love from my boyfriend, then I would just leave him and then be like, okay, if you can't give it to me, then I'm gonna go find somebody else, and then I'm gonna go find some stupid idiot and hope that they would love me, which they said they did, and then they, you know, it was not really that. They just loved themselves, which is good for them. They figured it out before me. And then now, I mean, I really do. I share my love with my boyfriend wholeheartedly, to the point where I accept him as him. I do not try to change him anymore, and there's many things that I wish that he would change for himself, but, like, to the point where I'm like, okay, like, this is just you. And so what I don't understand, though, is, like, why we need to have that person, like, as far as, like, a dependency. Like, I feel that's kind of going against the idea of, like, real yoga. That's where I'm at, and I don't get that part. So that's kind of something I'm still processing, but I'm throwing it out there because it's in a video, I think. I feel like we have just gotten so used to having, like, a partner, and please don't get me wrong, Jules, I know you're getting married, like, this month. I'm not saying, like, that I know, but what I'm saying is I just kind of question, like, the meaning of it and the purpose for it. And like, sex, for instance, like, I feel like I just don't care anymore. I don't feel like it's really doing anything for my body, technically, that I don't really care if it's there or not, and I feel like, really, it's just a burden a lot of times, and I really hope he never gets scoped, but my boyfriend has said this for years. Yogis are not meant to have relationships. Okay, well, I think I'm totally becoming a yogi. Yeah, because I even read about how many of them practice, like, celibacy and stuff, and it's probably not, it would not be that hard for me to do that. It really wouldn't. In the past, I would have died. I would have literally keeled over. Go live in a cave and meditate. You know what is hilarious? So I always say, you know, that my relationship with my boyfriend is very different. It's really not typical, and he has been my guru more than anything. He lives like that practically. He has wanted to go live in a cave and just be alone, and he tells me that whenever I would be suffering from my avidyas, and I would be like, no, but I need you, I love you, I really want you to love me, I just need your love, blah, blah, blah. This is the old me talking. And then he'd be like, I don't need you. And that was really hard. It would have maybe been a better teaching if he explained why and, like, what this awesome guy in this book is teaching me. But instead I was just told, I don't need you, though. So, like, it wouldn't really matter if you disappeared tomorrow. But now I get it. And now the funny thing is I told him the other day, I was like, I don't really care if you disappear tomorrow. And I think he might have gotten a slap in the face of that, that text. But, yeah, so I'm getting to there where I'm really releasing those avidyas and just being okay with the current like life. I have him in my life because I guess it's kind of like a resource, kind of like you live in a certain city because it's a resource, or you, I don't know, like go to a certain place to meditate because it happens to like get you better meditation like practice. So I feel like he's my best friend and I love him to death, and he's totally not like boyfriend material, but he's like, I learned so much. And so I think that's why I'm okay, and I'm really accepting it. And I don't know what my thoughts are on the whole sex thing either, because I just don't know if he's told me in the past how much it just interferes with everything. I don't know. That's probably the biggest part for me that's hard. Is that I really love kids and I'm really good with kids. But I don't know if they have to be mine. Like, I love all babies. I love my fur babies. And and back in the day, so like 5 years ago, I had it all planned out. I was going to get married, I was engaged, I was going to have 2 kids by now. I would have like had a successful career, yada yada yada. And something just clicked in my mind one day whenever I left my fiance, and I was like, this is just not, like, we weren't clicking as far as like it was not going to work out in the long run. I could see it. But then like I started on this whole like self-esteem journey, which, I mean, I guess it was needed for me to get to this point. But now I don't know if I want children. I don't even know my thoughts on like who procreates, because it's not like I want human beings to die. It's not like I want the world to just stop having humans, but I don't know if I want to do that. It's so confusing. I would love it. That's why I like to teach, because I kind of feel like everyone's like my baby. All of my students, I feel like they're like my children, even though half of them are older than me. Half of them are my mom's age. So I don't know. I really hope that my brother's girlfriend and him have a baby, but I think that my brother's almost more yogic than I am. So, I don't know. And no, my boyfriend says that he does not want kids. However, I actually think he does, but he wants them when he has like a perfect life. So really that means he would never want kids, because life will never be perfect. And I don't know if he's like connected those 2 dots in his head yet. And his dad really wants grandbabies, to the point where he's called us out on it, and we're not even in like a technical relationship, so you can see how that goes. You can still accept celibacy into a relationship though. Yeah, I'm really considering it. I'm really thinking about it. It's not hard. I just would have to just simply stop asking for it. I don't even think he would notice a difference. 3 months, 6 months versus never? I don't think that, I think he could lose track very easily. Awkward BF dad. Yeah, he's my boss too. So, it's interesting. But he's very patriarchal, so I know that he wants kids coming down his lineage, and yeah. So that was like really in depth of my personal stuff, and I don't want anyone to see it that doesn't understand it, but I do want everyone to see it who is at that point in their life. So that's why I waited till the end to kind of like throw that in there, because I know that nobody will get this far in the replay hardly. And if they do, then I really hope that they give me the input on my blog and like their feedback. My ears are like super red. What is going on? It's so crazy. I'm like sweating in here. I think it's weird that people on TV are obsessed with sex. Well, you can have like an addiction, so that's one thing. It's very possible that they're addicted to it. I think that I had a somewhat addiction in the past, It's like it's unreal. Yeah. And here's another thing, you know, with my past, one thing I notice is that a lot of times it's an overcompensation. So just like when I had no self-esteem, very low self-esteem, horrible self-worth, I just had no idea who I was because it had all been stripped away from me. And then I overreacted by becoming like this like super woman, essentially. The same thing happened with me for sex. So it was like, it was horrible. I couldn't do it. It was broken. And then like all of a sudden I was like, I want to do it all the time. And like, to the point where my boyfriend's called me out on it. He knows that a lot of the times it was like we would just not be together for long periods of time, and I needed a boyfriend that would give me that type of attention. And so now I can see how that was like way opposite extreme, and I really feel like a lot of the people that are in that media, like sex crazed everything, it is because they were like sent to one extreme, and now they're trying to get here. They're trying to be centered. They're trying to be their true self, but they just like overshot it, and they're like way out here. And until they can see that reflection and see like, oh wait, I'm like back here. Like this isn't me. This is just like my ego, like going crazy, and all of my mental stuff going on. I just need to come back into me, then it's gonna always be there. And so one reason why I would say, like, don't let it affect you, because they're at a different point of their journey. Like, a lot of those people are young that you see, and a lot of them are old. My mom's not on Scope either yet. And my mom is, you know, a lot older, but she has not gone through a lot of stuff in life until recently. And now I see her going through steps of life that I've already gone through. And I'm like, what is going on? Why are you doing this? She told my brother today how she was like talking to a 26-year-old. I mean, like, TV shows are completely based on casual sex. That's because of who's producing them. The people that are producing them are the ones that have money, who are like addicted and like feeding into those videos. So of course they're gonna produce things that have to do with what they're like, you know, attached to right now. If every yogi had money, they would produce meditation TV shows. Unfortunately, usually yoga and money don't go together, so that doesn't really happen. I try to have a balance. That is why I sell things that are useful to you on my blog. And that is why if I make a splits course, I'm going to sell it to you so that it's a balance, not like all or nothing, you know? And so that's, yeah, the TV thing is, it's hard. But I mean, those people that are in those shows are at that point in their life, and they might not ever get past it. They may die in that level. I don't know what happens after that. I just don't know. But if you can get past that and become self-aware, then you shouldn't let that affect you, though, too, because you're just at a different level. It's kind of like playing a game. If you were to, like, go play, I don't know, I'm not really good at sports, but say, like, we're going to go play some football, and, you know, I got pretty strong muscles right now, so I can probably throw a football. I could probably tackle you, you know. I kind of get the idea. But then a little 5-year-old comes into the picture, and they're, like, throwing the football straight to the floor, and they're just going to hug your leg and hope that you fall over. You don't look at them and be like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you not doing this? You're doing it wrong. Instead, you almost have compassion for them because you're like, oh, this poor little kid, he wants to throw the football so much. This is not working. So instead, you teach them and you lead by example. You're like, see, you throw it like this. You don't just say, like, what is wrong with you? And that's how a lot of these adults that you're going to encounter, they're like these little children, baby minds that haven't learned any of this stuff yet. And so instead of like being like, you're doing it wrong, or like, how dare you, you're doing it all horribly, Instead, we should try to like show them like this is going to make you much happier. Don't do this. And that's what I do when I teach the girls that I teach, because now I have a bunch of little, hey Binay, or Bina. Hello Bina. Now I have a bunch of little like sexualized like women minions, and I'm like, ugh, I taught them wrong, but I'm not going to be like, don't do that anymore, you're doing it wrong. Instead, good morning, oh my goodness. Holy crap, it's almost 3 a.m. Instead, it's night, it's 3 a.m. here. We are having a very long book club-ish thing going on, and I don't know about you, Jules, but I feel like this became a lot more intense than I ever expected, but I'm loving it if you are. I should be sleeping. I bet my brother and his girlfriend are still here, but I do want to say goodbye to them, so this is almost the end of my little talk. So yeah, what I was saying is that I'm not going to take these girls that I taught all these not necessarily right things to, and instead I'm just showing them example. I am not even telling them that I taught them wrong. Instead, I'm just like, this is what I'm doing now. And you know what? They're starting to pick it up. And I don't even have to try. It's just happening. So, Bina, have you read The Heart of Yoga? And Jules, if you have any last words, then let me know. We're reading this book, Bina, and it's really awesome. You can, like, if you're bored for like 3 hours, you can watch my scopes on my feedback, or you can watch Jules' scope reading the book. So we've only gotten to chapter 2, which is only like, gosh, like 10 pages. But Bina, you can find the Amazon link on my blog, boxedge.org. Okay, this is stupid of me, but I don't know. Does Amazon ship to, where are you, Denmark again? I can't remember. Does Amazon even ship there? Yeah, don't worry. It's not, yes, okay. Does Amazon ship there? It's really only pertinent if, like, you want to hear ideas. So, like, you know, you don't have to be, like, really active in the conversation if you listen to it. But I'm just kind of speaking my mind on the first 2 chapters, like, of ideas. So, if you want to take it with a grain of salt, then that's absolutely fine. It's really helping me, though. You know, I'm processing a lot. And Jules, did you have any last words before I go out to this massive fire pit that my mom and my brother just set up? I'm surprised they're still here. It's really late. My family is such night owls. Yeah, you're welcome. I hope it helps. I mean, it's really helping me. And just so you know, Bina, it's for developing a personal practice. So, like, kind of helping you get it all together. Go to page 99, check out Brahmacharya, because what we're talking about. Okay, 99. It's so cute how he's got like these little boxer shorts on and he's doing all these poses. Okay, 99. It's part of living in the world. So Brahmacharya is a yama, and I'm just going to go ahead and read it since you have me looking at it. The next yama is Brahmacharya. This word is composed of the root kar, which means to move, and the word Brahma, which means truth, in terms of one essential truth. We can understand Brahmacharya, I think I should be saying Charya, yeah. We can understand Brahmacharya suggests, as a movement towards the essential. It is used mostly in the sense of abstinence, particularly in relationship to sexual activity. More specifically, Brahmacharya suggests that we should form relationships that foster our understanding of the highest truths. If sensual pleasures are part of those relationships, we must take care that we keep our direction and do not get lost. On the path of serious, constant searching for truth, there are certain ways of controlling the perceptual senses and sexual desires. This control, however, is not identical with total abstinence. India has the greatest respect for family life. According to Indian tradition, everything in life has its place and time, and we divide the life cycle into 4 stages. The first stage of growing is this. The first is the stage of the growing child. The second is that of a student striving for greater understanding and searching for truth. The third stage is centered around starting and raising a family. And the fourth stage is where the individual, after fulfilling all family responsibilities, can devote him or herself to becoming free from all bondages and finding ultimate truth. In this fourth stage of life, everyone can become sannyasin, a monk or nun, but a sannyasin must then beg for food from people who are all still involved in family life. Interesting. The Upanishads advise the student to marry and raise a family immediately upon finishing his or her studies. That is why brahmacharya does not necessarily imply celibacy. Rather, it means responsible behavior with respect to our goal of moving toward the truth. Well, it's not completely new information. It sounds very much like what has been in my mind for a very long time. I didn't realize the begging part. So that's interesting to me, how they have to beg for food. No, you'll never Oh, wait. Do you mean that you won't ever go past into, like, the family? Because I thought that's what you're doing right now. And that's kind of along the lines of how I'm feeling as far as what I'm thinking about the whole relationship thing. And honestly, it's funny because my boyfriend's really way out there. I mean, he's not in the norm. That's a lot of community support for yoga to exist. Yeah. Well, pretty much I feel like he's really in line with that. Like, you know, because of my issues, you know, sometimes I would act like, give me more, give me more, give me more. And he's always been like, it should just happen. And I was like, always really confused what the heck that meant. Hey, One in Yoga, were you the one with the picture of the two of you doing some acro picture earlier today that the yoga couple tagged me in? I can't remember. Oh, no, it's you, Jennifer. Hey, I wish I had Monday Night Fire something. Just kidding. Jennifer, I know you now. Once your face popped up, I realized that it was you. But I think... So you have 2 periscopes? Or is your periscope name actually One in Yoga and I just never remembered it? So yeah. Oh my gosh. This is like a really crazy one to come into, Jen, because... oh wait, I told you though a little bit earlier, I mentioned how Jules and I are reading The Heart of Yoga. What I didn't get to hear before I left your scope earlier, which was how many hours ago now? Like 6? That I didn't know if you had read it or not. But seriously, we started reading it right after I left your scope earlier, and now I've been like recapping my like thoughts on just the first 2 chapters for the past 2 hours. I think yoga getting people to wake up in the morning. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. I'm so glad you're a night owl, Jules. Because like this is perfect. It's making me think, and oh my gosh, Jen, if you want to hear 2 hours of me talking about just how I feel, then watch the replay. But it has a little bit of overshare also. You are later than I. Yeah, I'm 3 o'clock in the morning here, you guys. But the funny thing is that this is about normal for me to go to sleep. Yeah. And so it's been a while since you read it. This is my first time, and Jules mentioned how it's pretty common to have to read this for becoming like a certified yoga teacher and stuff. And because I don't really have a set yoga practice, so I'm still forming one. We just finished reading chapter 2, which is only like 15 pages, I think. Yeah, so like we finished page 14. And then tomorrow I'm going to start reading some of the Yoga Sutra. And then maybe like the next day, like Jules will do chapter 3 or something. Yeah, it's so deep that I've been able to talk about 14 pages for 2 hours. It's nuts. But, yeah, so I like that, you know, I might be able to like, I might play it while I'm sleeping so it really just, you know, forms into my brain. But I was pretty much like wrapping up, and I was telling Jules how recently I've really like considered the idea of like what relationships are about, and I have a very different relationship with my boyfriend, and I was trying to understand like what Yogi's like perspective was on relationships, because I don't really understand how that happens, because it's all about like self, and then depending on somebody else kind of like doesn't make sense to me in that aspect. But then she had me read the on page 99 she was pointing out the yama, I already forgot the word, brahmacharya, yeah, I think, yeah, brahmacharya, and about how it talks about like abstinence or possibly celibacy, and how that kind of works in Indian culture. That's yoga nidra, sleep and let the text soak in. Really? I didn't know. My mom just taught me that, you know, as a kid, if you're studying and you can either listen to it, then your brain is still working, so it's learning, and that's why you like read to babies even when they're in the belly and stuff, you know. So yeah, that's another thing, is like I always envision doing these little things with a prego belly and stuff, and I just don't know. I'm trying to find your book right now. It's on page 99, that part. Your unconscious mind absorbs the words more easily. Yeah, I actually have a CD that I need to be playing. I'm glad we're talking about this, because I need to just do it. It's called Stop Nail Biting, Subliminal Persuasion Self-Hypnosis. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's no glare now. It's by Potentials Unlimited, a Barney Konikov CD. Why I do not know how to say this name is funny, because it's my girl that I teach. It's her grandfather. He makes different CDs. He makes like a how to golf better, and like how to stop wetting the bed, and like all these awesome like subconscious CDs. Yeah, I totally agree. And that's why I've literally tried everything to stop biting my nails. I've bit my nails since I was 5 years old. And everything that I do doesn't work. I have put that stuff that they make pepper spray out of on my fingers, and I eat it. I've tried getting fake nails. I bite them off in like one day, so that's a complete waste of money. I try sitting on my hands. That doesn't work. I mean, it's not that hard to get your hands out from underneath your butt. So many things, and I've only like successfully been able to quit for like maybe 2 or 3 months at a time, maybe like 2 times my whole life. Yeah, handcuffs, but your handcuffs, you can like bite them still. And that was what I was going to say, is that the only route that I know of that I had not taken was hypnosis. And I happened to tell my girl this, and the reason I hadn't done it was because I know that you can't be hypnotized unless you're willing to be hypnotized. And I have some trust issues with strangers that I don't know. And, you know, because I know how much your mind takes in subliminally, I don't want to accidentally be, like, told to do something really strange, you know? So, when I told her this, you know, she's laughing, and then she told me, well, You don't even have to go to a weirdo. You can just do this at home. My grandpa makes these CDs. And I started listening to them, and then I moved and I forgot to continue, so I'm gonna put it out tonight. I'm gonna start listening to this actually and see if I can stop biting my nails. Grace Smith TV? No. Okay, so I will follow her after I'm done, because I haven't heard of her yet. There's so many awesome scopers. I'm hoping that first I'll be able to quit biting my nails, because I hate showing my fingernails. Yeah, oh cool. Okay, so 2 of you. I'm definitely going to follow her. And apparently Bean also knows Grace. Awesome. Yeah, so, but if you want any CDs, then he's pretty good. Apparently, funny story is that he's got, you know, these CDs, and they go all over the world. And like I said, one of them was like how to stop wetting the bed. And I guess one parent bought it in like Europe. And the little boy was like listening to the CD at night to stop wetting the bed. And after like a few weeks, my friend's mom, who like manages the CD sales, she got a call from this lady in Europe, and the lady was like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, oh, well, are they not working? You know, sometimes they could take time, or, you know, he may just need a different voice. Like, it might just be that he needs somebody else to do it. And she's like, no, I think they are working. The problem is that he keeps peeing in the bathtub. Do you get it? Bean, I think that you'll get this quicker. Why is he peeing in the bathtub? Because what is the American hypnotizing the European boy to do? To go to the bathroom. Where the bathtub is. Not the water closet, right? Where the toilet is, where the loo, whatever the toilet word would be. So he was going to the bath room and going in the bathtub. So she's like, I think, I mean, it's better. It's easier to clean. Okay, so you say bathroom. Yeah, so it was like his subconscious was playing a funny joke on him. I don't think you have to black out to be hypnosis. You're still really aware, just relaxed. Yeah. And it was pretty much on my list. I just knew that I might have been a little bit bad developers. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to say that. I knew I would have been a little bit anxious about it, so I knew it probably wouldn't be as worth my time, you know. At this point, I'm pretty open to everything, so it'd probably be worth it. It has to be super specific, exactly. And so, since I have the CD, then I'm hoping I won't even have to go to a hypnotist. But if I do, then I'm open to it, because I really don't like eating my nails. I really don't like it. It hurts. It's not fun. It is. It's hilarious. I thought that was like the funniest thing. And she's like, I guess we need to like be specific for like languages now. Yeah. I'm gonna do that tonight after I go to sleep. Alright, well, thank you, Jules, for listening to me rant. I really appreciate you. Yes, exactly. I was like, sold. I will buy it. Can I please have 2 copies? I really appreciate you reading those first 2 chapters, and tomorrow night, after I get back from class, I will read the first set of the sutras, and then we'll have a discussion too. I might let you scope your reaction first, Jules, and then I'll come back on. My ex-boyfriend stopped biting his nails because of hypnotizing. Awesome! Awesome! You just found your book. So I think you were looking for it because I was bringing up Brahmacharya? I don't remember. But that's on page 99, and we have the revised edition with a red line at the top. Yeah. So I was talking about that and how I'm still kind of deciding how I feel about how I want my life, because I allowed sex to run much of my life in the past. You're luckily at the end of the scope, so most people aren't going to see this replay. And now I'm kind of analyzing if I even really need it in my life at all, and my boyfriend is not, he's more like my best friend and my guru than anything, and so I'm just kind of having some soul searching as far as what I think of on those terms. And probably another big reason why I'm thinking of it, you have a bookmark on it. Jen, are you married or do you have a partner of any sort? And actually, while you're here, I would really love to hear your like review of like how you came to a certain decision in lifestyle. Outside fire sounds nice. I miss summertime. I know, I gotta get to that. You are married. So it's interesting that you had, well, you probably just had that bookmark because it's all the yamas, but what are your thoughts about the brahmacharya? Our 2-year anniversary is coming up. Congratulations. It's very difficult for that nowadays with how the success rate is for marriage. And especially in yoga, I imagine it's you're a little more focused on self, so that might make it easier though, so there's not as much like gimme, gimme, gimme. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up, Jules. I'm just like skipping random pages and I'm seeing some awesome things. Oh wow, I didn't know we were going to be doing some physical moves and stuff. Awesome. It's less pressure. Yeah, and so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like, right now, according to him, I'm his fishing buddy because I kind of ruined it with my overactive issues, my avidyas. But I'm kind of coming to terms of whether or not I really want a relationship or not. From my experience, I think it's easier to be in a monogamous relationship. And that's my opinion too, but I'm even more to the point now where I don't know if I want a romantic relationship at all, if I'm truly going to like find and accept myself. And that's where I'm at. I've completely like stopped wanting to date anybody and like that whole lifestyle, which I never really liked. I was always looking for just one person. It's just I was not very successful. And then for a very long time I really just wanted to be with him. Really for a very long time. But now I'm just not even sure if I want. It's easier to be grateful with where you are both. Dang it, I kind of like missed what you said. But it is, I understand what you're trying to say. It's easier to be grateful. And I think that's where I'm at. I'm very grateful to have him in my life, and I know that he's not very grateful to have me in his life. But, you know, it's partially my actions that caused that to happen, so I know it'll just be time for him to see, like, the new me. But, I don't know if I guess maybe it's just a relationship. I just don't know what that is. So I feel like I'm alone, but really I kind of am in a relationship. It's weird. It's very weird. It's hard to describe. And most people in my life do not understand anything like this. So I cannot talk to them about stuff like this. They're just like, what? When are you getting married? When are you going to have grandkids? Let's make that happen. Sometimes if you're unsure, being abstinent can help bring clarity. And so, okay. I'm glad you said that because, yeah, that's pretty much what I've been considering doing, and it's not hard because it's really rare that anything even happens. Putting out all of my information on the internet. And the other last thing that was driving it is that I would really like to stop putting these chemicals in my body called birth control, and I've been really thinking about it a lot lately, and the more and more that I'm switching over to healthier eating and taking care of myself, I'm like, I'm poisoning myself every single day. Like, why am I doing this? And so that kind of influences me to want to do that too. because I don't even know what my personality is without these hormones running through me. I actually think I would be even more peaceful and even more nice. I think that I actually got really crazy whenever I started taking hormones, and I got really fat. So I'm totally fine with my physical body, but I imagine actually might also help my body like take care of itself better. So that was the other thing I was going to say. Okay, I'm going to go. This is going to be really funny to see how long this ended up being, but I think it was like the longest scope I've ever done, and it was only on 14 pages of a book. So, oh boy, this is a long journey, Jules. Thank you for taking me on it. 4 years post-birth control. Dang it. 4 years. Wow. Yeah, I've been on it since I was like 18, and I'm 28 now, so I do imagine it's gonna have a long time. And it never gets out of your system is the other thing, is like every one that I put into my body, it's never gonna leave from what I understand. So every day I'm like, do I do this? Do I not? So good news is I don't have insurance, so I'm not even gonna have any refills coming up. So I'll probably have to make a decision. Alright, well, thank you for being here. Thank you, Jennifer. It's so good to, like, see you on my scope. I didn't get to do any physical practice. So many women are, like, halted in their something. Jen, do you know if there was a Move, Breathe, Be thing today? Because I never saw it, and I was actually waiting to do it. Oh, a chemical body cleanse. I didn't know there was such thing. I'm learning of all these things so often. You're inspiring me to juice more things because I'm eating pretty terribly still compared to what I would really like to be at. And I appreciate you putting up every single random thing about juicing because it gets more and more into my head, and then I just keep picking up on this turmeric that you talk about. In other words, being more aware of all you ingest. Oh, okay, yes, that's there's like a red alert going on in my head of all these things that I ingest, and I guess it's just kind of like one of those like processes where it takes a little bit of time for somebody to go turn off the button that is putting it on red alert, because I see all these things that I don't want to eat, but then I'm like, I'm gonna eat this. Like, I ate clam chowder out of a Campbell's can tonight, and I'm thinking, why am I eating this? This is probably a terrible idea. But I'm also on a very tight budget, so all the food that I've already purchased, I'm trying to just like get out and then start fresh. Puberty halted. Oh, yes, yeah. Well, are you still going through puberty at 18? Because that's when I started. I couldn't think of that word. Okay. Alright. I'm seriously going to say goodbye now, because I have a very bad tendency to say goodbye and then something else pops up and I'm like, what? Okay, we'll still talk. And I'll see if my brother is still here, because I don't get to see him very often. You're grown up. Alright, so let's do the thing. And Jen, if you're not familiar, for all of my yogi edgies, at the end of our practice, I like to end it with saying namaste and doing the typical like prayer hands to the third eye, but then we have our own mudra, and I say love you at the end, which means bye Bina, which means that you should love you, and we make a little heart. So let's do it. Jules knows it. So namaste, love, and then this is it. I have to stand on my toes every time. Alright, bye. It was a good talk. Thank you.